Do you remember the scent of mimeograph paper fresh from the machine? Or the sound of your saddle shoes clicking down a waxed hallway as the Four Seasons played on someone's portable transistor radio? Back in the day, high school was more than just books and bells. It was where we discovered who we were one sock hop at a time. Welcome to a trip down memory lane where we rewind to the 1960s, those golden years when high school meant drive-in movies, jukeboxes spinning Elvis or the Supremes, and homerooms filled with chatter about Ed Sullivan's latest guest. In this video, we'll revisit what high school life was really like in the 60s, the classrooms, the fashion, the friendships, and the culture that shaped us. Whether you graduated in 61 or 69, these memories are stitched into the fabric of who we are. For me, those years were filled with the smell of fresh notebook paper, the clack of typewriter keys, and the thrill of passing a folded note during algebra class. Maybe they were for you too. So let's turn back the clock and head down those high school halls once again. Back in the 1960s, high schools had a certain charm you just don't find today. Most were built in the 40s or 50s with sturdy red brick walls, tall windows, and polished tile floors that echoed with every step. Hallways smelled like floor wax, pencil shavings, and cafeteria chili. Desks were wooden, often carved with initials or love notes from past students. And the blackboards, they were really black, none of that whiteboard business. You remember the chalk dust, right? It got everywhere. The teachers would clap the erasers clean outside the window, sending up a cloud that always made us laugh. Do you recall the morning announcements coming through the crackling PA system, followed by the national anthem? And sometimes a duck and cover drill if tensions with the Soviets were heating up. Yes, those Cold War years lingered in the background even during math class. Lockers were skinny and metal usually dented from decades of use. Inside, you'd find a mirror, a brush, maybe a pack of chewing gum if you were brave. And remember those hall passes. Usually a big wooden paddle or a rubber block meant to be too embarrassing to steal. Back then we didn't have backpacks. You just carried your book stacked in your arms or tied with a leather strap if you were fancy. And believe me, those textbooks were heavy. Geometry, history, English, they weighed you down literally. The school bell rang with a real clang. No soft tones or digital buzzers. It echoed like a factory whistle, signaling the start and end of another 50-minute class. One of my clearest memories is walking into homeroom and hearing someone tuning their portable radio to WLS or KRLA, depending on where you lived. That's where we heard the Beach Boys for the first time, or caught the Beatles' Invasion starting in '64. Do you remember your homeroom teacher? Or that one hallway where everyone seemed to hang out between classes? Share your memories in the comments. We'd love to hear them. Now let's talk style. If you were in high school during the early 60s, chances are your wardrobe had a crisp, tidy look. Boys wore button-down shirts, sometimes with skinny ties and crew cuts, while girls sported knee-length skirts, sweaters, and saddle shoes or flats. Hair was carefully curled or teased into a neat flip or beehive. And let's not forget those Peter Pan collars and cardigan sets. We all had at least one. Or maybe you remember ironing pleats into your skirt on Sunday night, getting ready for the school week ahead. As the decade went on, fashion shifted. By '67, bell-bottoms started sneaking in along with tie-dye shirts and moccasins. Long hair for boys became more common, and girls began wearing their hair looser and straighter, inspired by stars like Mary Travers and Joan Baez. Dress codes were strict in the early part of the decade. No jeans, no sneakers, unless it was PE. Boys had to tuck their shirts in. Girls couldn't wear pants, at least not to school. Some schools even checked skirt lengths with a ruler. Imagine that today. Did your school have a strict dress code? Do you remember a time you or a friend got sent home for a dress code violation? Tell us your story in the comments. We'd love to hear it. Back in those days, the social scene was its own kind of education. There were the jocks, the greasers, the brainiacs, the cheerleaders, and of course, most of us fell somewhere in between. The cafeteria was the heartbeat of it all. Remember balancing a tray with Salisbury steak, canned peaches, and a carton of milk, and hoping to grab a seat near your friends. Or maybe that special someone from biology class passing notes was the text message of our time, folded into perfect triangles and slipped across desks. Those little notes held everything: secret crushes, weekend plans, or doodles of your favorite band. After school, the parking lot turned into a mini social hub. Boys leaned against their Chevys or Fords, maybe a 57 Bel Air, if you were lucky, while girls gathered in groups flipping through Tiger Beat and talking about Paul McCartney or Bobby Riddell. Pep rallies were a big deal, especially on game day. The gym packed to the rafters, everyone wearing school colors. And Friday nights, that meant high school football followed by the post-game dance in the cafeteria or gymnasium. Paper streamers, a live band, maybe even punch served in a plastic bowl. It was also a time of firsts. First slow dance, first heartbreak, first time driving with your friends and singing at the top of your lungs to the Temptations or the Mamas and the Papas. Sometimes we look back and forget the awkwardness, the nervous phone calls on the rotary dial, the fumbled conversations, the butterflies when your crush walked by. But those moments shaped us just as much as the good ones. Who was your high school crush? Did you ever write their name on your notebook cover? You don't have to name names, but if you got a sweet memory, feel free to share it below. But the school day didn't end at the final bell. In part 3, we'll explore what life was like after hours, part-time jobs, drive-ins, after-school clubs, and those early dreams of what life might become. So grab a soda or a cup of coffee. We'll be right back with more memories from high school in the 1960s. When the last bell rang, the day was far from over. After-school life in the 60s had its own rhythm. Some of us had jobs working at the local diner pumping gas or bagging groceries at A.J.P. or a Safeway. Earning a few bucks meant you could buy a milkshake, fill the tank for under $1, or maybe take someone to the movies. If you didn't have a job, there were still plenty of ways to pass the time. Clubs like Glee Club Debate, Future Homemakers of America, or Future Farmers of America were popular. And for many, it was all about sports, track, football, cheerleading, or even bowling league on the weekends. Music was a constant companion. You might head to a friend's house to spin 45s on a record player or catch American Bandstand to learn the latest moves. Some of us even picked up guitars inspired by Elvis Dylan or Peter, Paul, and Mary. And oh, the freedom of a Friday night cruise. You'd hop in your car, maybe a '64 Mustang if you were lucky, and head to the local burger joint. A root beer floats some fries, and the chatter of teenagers under the glow of neon signs. If you had a steady date, maybe it was off to the drive-in. $1 got you 2 tickets and popcorn to share. We also dreamed big. College brochures arrived in the mail. Some of us started trade school, others enlisted. The Second Indochina War was becoming a reality by the late 60s, and its presence loomed large in many senior classrooms. But for most, the future was still a blank canvas, and we were ready to paint it. What did you do after school? Did you join a club, or just head straight home to watch Gilligan's Island? Let us know in the comments. Everyone had their own version of the after-school life. As we look back on high school in the 1960s, it's clear those years were more than just homework and homeroom. They were the backdrop to friendships that lasted decades, first loves that still bring a smile, and a world that was changing fast, even if we didn't quite know it at the time. Yes, life was simpler in some ways. You knew your neighbors. Phones had cords, and no one stared at a screen during lunch. But we've come a long way too, and there's something beautiful about seeing how far we've come since those days of sock hops, chalkboards, and class rings. So whether you were the class clown, the quiet artist, or the star quarterback, one thing's for sure, high school left its mark. And those memories of Letterman jackets, prom nights, and see you next year still glow warm in the corners of our minds. Now it's your turn. What do you remember most from high school in the 60s? Was it a favorite teacher, a funny senior prank, or maybe that unforgettable first kiss behind the bleachers? Leave your stories in the comments. We'd love to hear them. Thanks for walking down memory lane with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with a fellow classmate or old friend. Who knows, it might just bring back a few memories they'd forgotten too. Until next time, keep those memories close and keep smiling.